Tommy's Matchbook. This is an exotic auto rifle. It is the new seasonal weapon. It has dropped on us at a very opportune time. You see, auto rifles just got a buff today in update 2.8.0. And if you've not watched our video, in the description below is a complete Sandbox overview of everything that changed today. Now, Tommy's Matchbook drops from the seasonal pass, and for the rest of this review, we will refer to this gun as just Tommy. We got Randy, Marty, and now we got Tommy. Oh, and Dan. Dude, we got almost an entire raid fire team. Now, Tommy currently has an exotic catalyst in the wild, which I have yet to obtain. It's got a very long, lengthy quest, and as soon as we get that, we will review Tommy in its final form. But today, we're gonna actually just cover it, as this is a very unique auto rifle. So first up, the exotic perk on this weapon, Ignition Trigger. Sustained fire with this weapon overheats it, increasing damage, but burning the user. Essentially, Touch of Malice 2.0. With a twist though, this weapon actually requires 20 rounds to be expended before actually igniting you. Now that's 20 rounds holding down the trigger. You can't tap fire it, which is kind of unfortunate. So I know a lot of us like to use our auto rifles in the mid-range, so tap firing is kind of our thing. Tommy though knows. He knows when you're lying to him. So if you are not laying on that trigger, he will buck you and refuse to ignite you. And you want him to burn you, because when he sets you on fire, he substantially throws up that damage. Inside of PVE, the increase in damage after firing 20 rounds ramps up 98%. That means for the rest of your magazine, all 80 rounds, you have a damage buff exceeding that of the best damage perks in the game. Things like multi-kill clip, rampage, kill clip, swashbuckler, surrounded. All of those perks pretty much caps out somewhere between 33% and 50% at most. So even though Tommy here does burn the piss out of you, at least you're getting good damage. Now inside of PvP, that damage is not quite as much as it is inside of PvE, but it still ramps it up pretty substantially. Now there is some rounding in the numbers, but 720 round per minute auto rifles do 20.1 damage per crit inside of Crucible and 13.4 per body. Now this actually ramps up to 31 per crit and 21 per body. But again, there is some deviation there because of rounding. So we know it's somewhere between like 50 to 57% there in that increase in damage. So this is a very nice buff here, requiring only for you to lay on the trigger. Now the other unique factors about this weapon, base stat wise, is not bad. It's got good stability, fantastic handling, great range. It comes with hammer forged rifling for that increase there in range. Extended mag, which is what's aiding that magazine size, getting us all the way up to 100, although it does kill the piss there out of our reload speed. But the trait, heat sink, overheat damage is reduced while not aiming down sights. Now kind of a bummer. I mean, this is a bullet hose. Aiming down sights isn't necessary, but it's a little difficult to hit hip fire shots from 30 plus meters away. Now obviously heat sink is perfect for PvE. You got a number of ads in front of you. Instead of taking the full force of the burn effect from Tommy, just back out of the sights. Hip fire that thing. Now the question that's kind of come up here lately is what will be the exotic catalyst? Will it actually be something that allows us to gain that heat sink trait while we aim down sights? The damage isn't overwhelming, but it is annoying, and it's burn damage. That little bit of burn damage extends that recovery time. So the catalyst could do something like that. It could actually give you like an auto heal effect, which I think that might be a little too steep. I don't think Bungie's gonna do that. Or it could auto reload, which is also pretty nasty. There's a multitude of things we could do here with Tommy to add to the uniqueness of this exotic, which I really hope Bungie does. Now, in terms of what paired the best here to get the most out of Tommy, obviously the Warlock class on the Healing Rift is great. It's fantastic. Considering that you're going to be sitting there laying on the trigger, posting up in a Healing Rift is about the best route you can go. But we actually took it a step further, as a couple of things changed today on the Warlock class, more specifically, the Attunement of Hunger class. It was stated today that Nova Bombs can now trigger Devour. And again, Devour allows us to gain full health immediately after getting a kill, which is right up this gun's alley. So as much as I like the Healing Rift, which is nice, you can post up, you can heal yourself while you lay on the trigger. To me, the best thing that paired here with Tommy is Devour, as you can gain those healing abilities while also simultaneously staying mobile. The only downside that I ran into was at some point you start to run out of ammo. You're laying on the trigger, you're activating that exotic perk as much as you possibly can. It's not long before you find yourself, even inside of PvP, completely out of ammo. Now, an exotic that I wanted to try with it, considering that it also got a buff, is Verity's Brown, as it states that energy weapon kills grant death throws, which provides a bonus to the damage of your grenades and grants you grenade energy. Now, obviously, the main thing that we're trying to take advantage of is just the increase there in grenade energy. Anything that can possibly give us back more grenade energy is a win for Tommy here, and Devour. I know this is not a build video, but this is one of those unique weapons that if you really want to get the most out of it, at least now before we actually see what the exotic catalyst is, Bottom Tree Voidwalker seemed to be one of the best subclasses to synergize here. Now let's bring up that reload speed as well as damage fall off. First up, damage fall off is pretty severe here. Now I've been spoiled. We've played with a number of God roll auto rifles here lately, both 600s and 720s, that have had pretty good range, almost up to 30 meters. Even though the stats are pretty healthy here on Tommy, you can expect damage fall off to begin at 26 meters, which is kind of killer. Now granted, with the increase there in damage, both from today's buff and from ignition trigger, time to kill values are absolutely disgusting within that optimal 26 meter range. You're looking at a base default time to kill value of about 0.75 seconds, and whenever it ramps up in damage with ignition there, that time to kill actually drops down to 0.5 seconds. 0.5! That's like pre-nerf last word. So yeah, at some extent, I kind of understand why we only have 26 meters here, as anything pretty much past that point probably would have been too overpowered. But even past 26 meters, and I would say 26 all the way up to maybe 30, 32, somewhere around we start to see auto rifles really dip off, it can still hang. Although I will say your time to kill does begin to increase with each consecutive meter after that, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend hanging in those gunfights. As far as the reload speed, as bad as it is, I highly advise that you take advantage of the artifact mods this season, all 3 of them really. Number 1, enhanced auto rifle loader, which greatly increases that reload speed, will definitely help out with that reload. I'm not even sure if it can stack. I actually ran it stacked together. There may actually be a cap on it. If someone has a confirmation on that, feel free to let us know. But you also have enhanced scatter projectile targeting. Excellent for so many different weapons, but especially for auto rifles here, as you essentially get an enhanced targeting perk here for your auto rifles, which costs substantially less than most enhanced perks. On top of that, we don't even have enhanced target acquisition for auto rifles, at least not to my knowledge. They may have had that this season, I'm not sure. Now the final perk I would really recommend, even for something like Tommy, is enhanced unflinching auto rifle aim. I usually oversaturate this perk, kind of like the reload perk, and double up on it. But again, those things combined can go a long way in maintaining that consistency for this weapon up to that 26 meter range and beyond. So guys, that is our review there for Tommy's Matchbook. It's a very unique weapon. I love the take on it, man. Like, I love the fact that this weapon gives you such a substantial buff, but at the same time, it burns you, right? Now, I just got access to Light DG, and we actually got to see exactly what the exotic catalyst for Tommy's Matchbook is. It states, heat of the moment. While ignition trigger is active, your health recovers much faster, which is really interesting, considering there is that burn effect, right? It extends that recovery duration, or before you can actually begin your recovery. I wonder if you actually can start recovering the moment you quit firing. And then on top of that, how does Bungie differentiate the damage being received from ignition and damage being received from opponents? I don't know. We'll just have to test it out. A very unique exotic catalyst. I was curious what they were going to do here, though, but this could actually allow Tommy to be utilized on other classes outside of Warlocks, which would be extremely nice. If you happen to have that exotic catalyst already completed and you're in my Discord, hey, feel free to reach out to me. Fellas, we'll be covering everything else for the rest of the day. Lots of videos coming your way. Thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.